Alright, this is Weapon X Reacts and we're back with another video, and this is going to be a review of Joker, Folie, Deux. I really thought that this film right here was just mediocre, and it just goes to show you that Joker did not need a sequel. And in this review, I'm going to be outlining the positives and the negatives, and I just felt this entire film was just a big F you to the people that liked the first film. I'm gonna break down the plot of this film. So in 1983, Arthur Fleck is seen at Arkham State Hospital to go on trial for the crimes he committed. His lawyer argues that Arthur Fleck has dissociative personality disorder, and that the Joker persona is responsible for those crimes, which I think is absolutely stupid. And then at a music therapy session, he meets another patient, Harleen Quinzel, but in the whole film, she is just called Lee, and they begin to have a relationship with each other when she says that she lived in the same neighborhood he did, and that she had an abusive father who died in a car crash, and she was committed for burning down her parents' apartment building. And later in the film, we realize that all of this was just to get to Arthur. And during a film, Lee starts a fire, and then she and Arthur try to escape but get caught. When she meets up with Arthur, she tells him that she is going to be released because he is a bad influence on her. But she promises that she will be at his trial, and then we get a couple of trial scenes, and then an explosion happens out of nowhere when Arthur Fleck confesses that the Joker persona is not real, and everything becomes chaos for him. You know what? This whole film was just a boring legal drama with musical numbers. That's it! Joaquin Phoenix's performance as Arthur Fleck is just as good as the first one, and he does a great job with what he's been given, and I am not going to lie, he really embodies the complexity with a raw intensity that goes even deeper to the psyche of a man who has fully accepted his dark persona, and his physicality is really damn good, using subtle expressions and erratic movements to convey the chaos around him, and every gesture feels deliberate, as if he's going beyond the line between madness and vulnerability. And one problem I had in this film is that he was overshadowed by Harley Quinn, and they treated him like a joke, and it really shows that this movie was made for no one. Lady Gaga does a really good job playing Harley Quinn, and she balances the character's personality with the darkness that matches Arthur's psyche, and she adds a layer of vulnerability to the character, and it works perfectly. Lady Gaga does not just play Harley Quinn, she makes her feel complex in a way that is believable, and her take on Harley Quinn is raw, and it fits the fangirl side of the character. Lady Gaga even blends humor with a real sense of danger that keeps you guessing about her next move, and it makes you think if her relationship with Arthur was real, or if it was her just manipulating him. While Lady Gaga's performance was captivating, there were a couple of issues I had with the character, like the fact that her role is massively underdeveloped, and there are moments where her descent into Arthur's chaotic world feels rushed, and it lacks depth. Some of her musical moments don't land, and it feels out of place, almost disrupting the film's dark tone rather than enhancing it, and it feels forced. Her performance is so commanding that it takes away from Arthur's journey, and it feels more like a Harley Quinn origin story, and her relationship with Arthur feels poorly executed. Despite this, Lady Gaga's commitment to the role really shows a lot, and guess what? It does not save this film from being a complete piece of garbage! And if you want to know what's one performance of hers that I actually like, it's Star is Born, and that is a movie I totally recommend you watch because it's just tragic. The production design and cinematography of this film was just stunning to look at, and it adds a lot to the tone of the film. The visuals are striking with the use of dark shadows and vibrant colors to give a unique look to Gotham City, and it manages to blend the gritty realism of Arthur's life with the more musical and surreal elements of the story. The way how the camera focuses on the characters' faces, especially Arthur Fleck, brings out the raw emotion, and it makes the audience feel connected to his inner chaos. And I'm gonna be serious right now. The only memorable thing about the musical moments was the look of the sets, and I'm just gonna let you know that this film has some of the best color grading ever put on a film. The court scene with Gary was probably the only scene in the film that was actually good, and it brings intense drama and dark humor together in a way that keeps the audience on edge. Arthur's cold and dark sense of humor shows just how far he has gone from the person Gary once knew, and Gary's reaction is just heartbreaking, and he is caught off guard by how Arthur casually brushes off the dark joke. This is a moment that captures both the tension and the sadness of the scene, showing how much Arthur has changed and how little he cares about the things that once mattered. Like, in the scene, he describes how everyone can see him as a Joker, but no one saw or gave a shit about Arthur. As Gary tries to reach for the friend he used to know, he then realizes that Arthur Fleck really is gone and that he was replaced by someone unrecognizable. And this moment brings out the horror of Arthur's transformation in a simple but powerful way. And also, great acting from Leigh Gill and Joaquin Phoenix. One problem I had with the scene is that it felt drawn out, and it tells me that this film could have been good if only if the writing wasn't hot garbage! Hildur Guðnadóttir's score for this film adds a dark and moody vibe that works well with the story, and her music brings tension to certain scenes and helps build up the eerie and unsettling tone. However, sometimes the score feels like it tries too hard to push emotions that don't really need an extra push, making it feel a bit heavy-handed. And while it has moments that fit Joker's world, it doesn't feel unique or impactful as her work in the first film. It's good, but it does not reach the same level of haunting originality, and it will most definitely not win awards because when you look at the first film, the score really fit Arthur's transformation into the Joker, but here, in this film, it was pretty forgettable. The musical moments in this film were just terrible, and it's one of the reasons of why this film is so bad. And the problem I have with this is that it does not add anything meaningful to the story, and it just feels like pointless filler to pad the film's runtime. And when you look at films like La La Land, the musical moments actually enhance the storyline instead of affecting it negatively, but that is something we don't get anymore. And one more thing, the musical moments don't reveal anything new about the characters, and it's just distractions. And I am not going to lie, Joker 2 has to be one of the worst musicals I have ever seen in my life. I'm going to explain the ending of this film. So after Holly breaks up with Arthur when she thinks that there was no Joker because of his confession at court, we see him at Arkham, and then a guard calls him up when a young patient approaches Arthur and tells him a joke. And then he says these words, "You get what you fucking deserve." Then he stabs him repeatedly, and then Arthur just dies. And we see the guy carve scars on his face. Then he laughs. And it could mean that he becomes a Joker, but who really cares? And this ending really pissed me off, and not just that, it pissed off the entire internet. And it proves the fact that Hollywood hates you. The bodyguards in this film feel like they're just there to fill space, and they have no purpose but to exist in the background, and they don't add any tension or significance to the story, and it's like they're present to make scenes look more crowded without doing anything meaningful, and they lack personality or development, and they're just forgettable. And you know what? They could have been cut out from the whole film because it just makes the movie look more boring than it already is. And to be honest, they meant nothing to this whole story. And you know what pissed me off about them? Was that they got so offended by what Arthur said in court that they rape him in a prison. And I have to warn you, this is implied and it's not shown. Joker Folie Deux just bombed hard at the box office, and it totally deserves it. This is how much money it made. $37.8 million, and it had a $200 million budget. And the box office for this movie is going to keep on going down because it just shows you that this film is just an unwatchable piece of garbage. And I heard it was much worse than Morbius, and guess what? It got beat by another film, Terrifier 3. Isn't it just funny how a sequel to a great film could be so bad? It really reflects the way cinema is going down, and it's just depressing to see. And I recently watched this other show called The Penguin, and it is so much better than this film, and I totally recommend you watch it. I just heard that the writer of Taxi Driver, Paul Schrader, walked out of 15 minutes of this film, then returned for the 10 minutes of it, and do you know what he called it? A really bad musical, and he's not wrong, because I see musicals that were way better than this film. And do you know what this film is? It's just a movie that's just designed to hate its own audience. I just heard that Quentin Tarantino praised this film, and he said that he liked Joaquin Phoenix's performance, calling it one of the greatest performances I have ever seen in my life. And I kinda have to agree with him on that, because Joaquin Phoenix's performance as Arthur Fleck was just something else, and it's just another great example of why he's such a good actor. And Quentin Tarantino said something about Todd Phillips, saying that he is like the Joker, and he made this film as an FU to the movie audience and Hollywood. And you kind of have to appreciate Quentin Tarantino's takes, even if some of them are a bit stupid, like this one right here. I'm gonna show the trailers of this film, starting with the first one.
Hey, Fleck, you got a joke for us today? We use music to make us whole, to balance the fractures within ourselves.
That shot right there is really good.
I'm nobody. I haven't done anything with my life like you have. Let's get out of here.
Tell us, what's changed, Arthur? I'll tell you what's changed. I'm not alone anymore. That's what you should be talking about.
I want to see the real you.
I'm gonna show you the second trailer.
2 years ago, the name Arthur Fleck had Gotham like a hurricane. The trial of the century. They believe Arthur Fleck to be some kind of martyr. Well, he's not. He's a monster.
When I first saw Joker, when I saw you, for once in my life, I didn't feel so alone anymore.
And also, even though this film was absolute dog shit, you can admit that the visuals look fantastic. But I will have to say that this whole film was just style over substance.
For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. How about you, Arthur? Do you still think you're a star? Showtime.
You can do anything you want. You're Joker.
Look around. Look at all these people. I will no longer allow any of you to keep me down.
Oh yeah, I just want to let you know that in this shot right here, we don't get it in the film or in the scene of where Joker and Harley Quinn were dancing in the trial. Which is actually kind of stupid though.
I got the sneaking suspicion that we're not giving the people what they want.
It's okay, baby.
And I just want to let you know that this film is on digital right now. I do not want to waste my time with this film ever again.
Come on, get happy. Ready for the judgment day.
Alright. You know what? You know what I really thought about this film? I thought it was a missed opportunity. And the fact that this film got a sequel that was so mediocre just describes modern film content today. Because guess what? The first film was a masterpiece. And this film is a whole load of garbage. Do not waste your money or your time with this film because it doesn't care about you. It is made by people that hate you and don't respect your time. So go watch better films because every single film from 2024 was just a sequel, a reboot, a spin-off, whatever. And when there's something original, guess what? It's bad. This shows you the decline in quality in Hollywood right now. Todd Phillips' direction of this film is all over the place, and while he captures the dark and gritty feel of Gotham, the film lacks the focus and intensity that the first film had, and it seems like he tried to blend too many styles and it just does not work, and the story sometimes drags on or gets distracted and it loses that gripping feel that he did with the first film. And he took some big swings here, but they don't always land and it makes the film feel uneven. I'm gonna show the rating that this film got on Rotten Tomatoes. So 32% from the critics and 32% from the audience. And it just shows you how bad and mediocre this film is. And when you look at the first one, it's pretty positive. 68% from the critics and 89% from the audience. And you could definitely see a drop in quality between these two films. In conclusion, this film was a massive disappointment, and I may call it one of the worst films of 2024, and this is why. Todd Phillips didn't even seem to understand this character or the first film, and it just loses what makes the first film so good and special in the first place. And if you like the first film, don't watch this one because it's just a big middle finger to you. And it's also one of those examples of when the sequel isn't as good as the original, and DC and Marvel, they're going to keep dropping down in quality because this is not superhero fatigue, it's dog shit fatigue, and no one is going to care anymore because all they care about is not dropping down quality films. It's about content. It's about you spending your money for something you don't actually want to immerse yourself into and let it all burn. Also, anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now, and always remember, strike back like a weapon against wokeness.